Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I am, of course, here for the big preview show for the big showdown Bills versus Chiefs this Sunday, November 17th at 4:25 p.m. on CBS. And this time around, it's in Buffalo after being in Kansas City and the Chiefs hosting us for the last 3 years in a row. Now it's going to be in Buffalo for the next 3 years in a row, including on Sunday. So that's very exciting. So no more meandering. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Unfortunately, I have some injury news to share. Sean McDermott announced literally just like 10 minutes before I got in this recording this morning that he announced on the WGR 550 radio show with Sal Capaccio that tight end Dalton Kincaid will not play, has been ruled out against the Chiefs. It was trending all week. Unfortunately, I kind of suspected that, but now it's official, unfortunately. And then both wide receiver Amari Cooper and right tackle Spencer Brown will be limited in practice today being Friday, November 15th, and both will be questionable. I think in the case of Cooper, they're just saying questionable just because he's going to wear a cast on that wrist, but it sounds like he is going to push to play, and I think he will play. Spencer Brown, I think, is more of a true game time decision. If I were to put a finger on the pulse of it right now, if you will, I would say predictively, my personal opinion, that unfortunately franchise right tackle Spencer Brown will not play, and Ryan Van Dyke will have to step in. We'll talk about the implications of that as this episode goes along. So, quick rundown: Dalton Kincaid has been ruled out. Spencer Brown will be limited today and then questionable for the game on Sunday, but I don't think will play. And Amari Cooper, same thing, and I do think he will play, but very limited with a cast, obviously, maybe limited snaps, limited action, if you will. So, anyway, I want to present you guys with my three biggest keys to victory on offense for the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. I mean, this is easier said than done, but we always want to have long, sustained, time-consuming drives, right? No matter what game it is, but especially going after against a QB. And I'm pretty sure the Chiefs want to do this as well, keep Josh Allen off the field. But especially going against the QB on Sunday, like Patrick Mahomes, keep him off the field. I know you won't be able to run the ball for crap this week because against Chris Jones, and Derek Nottie isn't half bad either. Chris Jones is just an animal on the interior. They're the number one. Sorry, there's name poked my head there. They're the number one defense in the league. Them and the Titans are like tied for number one. So you won't be able to run the ball. You're going to have to get really creative. I think because of that, to have long, sustained drives, I think you're going to have a lot of screen passes, some jet sweeps in there. But more than likely, I think you're going to have to unlock Josh Allen's legs. He's going to have like 10 to 12. He's going to have, he's going to have 10 to 12 rushing attempts at minimum. So Joe Brady needs to use some design runs, not some, a lot, if you will, a lot of design runs for Josh Allen, have long, sustained, time consuming drives and eat up that clock if you can help it. And then, the Chiefs defense, the run defense is elite. I really think I'm someone who personally, I know I don't want to ever praise the Chiefs, but I'm someone who personally thinks very highly of their linebacker core of Leo Chenal, Drew Tranquil, and Nick Bolton. They're all extremely physical tacklers, and they're all extremely great in coverage. So I don't know if you're going to be able to work the middle of the field with Dawson Knox stepping up for Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir in the middle field like you want to. So I think you're going to have to attack downfield because number one, like Trent McDuffie, I don't think like he's given up some stuff downfield that he hasn't done in his first 2 years in the league. It's his third year in the league, and now he's transitioning to playing a ton of outside corner as opposed to being a career slot corner like he has been. And they moved Shamari Connor from like that third hybrid safety role to the slot corner, so they've kind of reshuffled. And then they traded L'Jarius Sneed back in March to the Titans as their superstar corner. And then they lost Jalen Watson for the season. So this combination of like at CB2 of Najee Johnson / Joshua Williams, more so Najee Johnson, is very, very beatable. Like Najee Johnson is a very weak corner, CB2. So because you can't run the ball, all combined of you can't run the ball, you won't be able to work the middle of the field like you want to with that phenomenal receiving core, and you don't want to test Trent McDuffie and Shamari Connor, but you can test Najee Johnson, that CB2 role, get guys masked up with him downfield. Amari Cooper, I don't really have much confidence in him like playing a whole ton of snaps. So more so Mac Hollins, like he's gonna have to show up like he has been in these big key moments and catch everything downfield that's thrown to him. Surprisingly, he can separate very well downfield. And then Khalil Shakir. I know we think of Khalil Shakir as a screen, just the catch guy, middle of the field guy, but like late last season, second half of last season, where Stephon Diggs teetered off, and then Khalil Shakir kind of blew up there down the stretch the whole second half of the season, give or take, respectively. I really liked how they used Khalil Shakir downfield. Like he's got underrated burst and underrated athleticism down the field and underrated separation skills. Like I think they need to unlock Khalil Shakir downfield this game, like 20 plus yards down the field, because they haven't done this year. And Khalil Shakir is very capable, as we saw last year, the second half of last year, especially in 2023 last year, very capable of working downfield and separating against man coverage. So I think you get Khalil Shakir one-on-one on island and utilize his underrated downfield skills. So that's just what I'm, determining in my head right now. So I'm looking for Khalil Shakir to have a big uptick in downfield usage, and Mac Hollins, coupled with Mac Hollins continuing to show up in big moments and catch everything that's thrown to him, is a surprisingly really great separator. And then I think this offensive line I'm kind of mixed on for the Chiefs, because their interior trio of center Creed Humphrey, left guard Joe Thuney, and right guard Trey Smith, that is by far the best middle trio in the entire NFL. You aren't moving those guys for crap. You ain't moving those guys. Creed Humphrey's elite, and then Trey Smith and Joe Thuney, respectively, are borderline elite and minimum great players. You ain't moving those. So at Oliver, Daquan Jones, they've already been highly disappointed this year. I don't think they're all of a sudden going to come alive, unfortunately. But where I do see a lot of wins are these pass rushers on the outside, mainly the top three of Greg Rousseau, A.J. Epinesa, and Von Miller bouncing back and returning to pre-suspension form, because I think this is a really weak tackle duo of left tackle Wanye Morris. They've kind of shuffled it where rookie out of BYU, Kingsley Suimataia started at left tackle for the first 3 or 4 games, and then they switched to Wanye Morris, and he got injured, and they flipped back, and now they're back to Wanye Morris. Both of them are very weak, in my opinion. And then right tackle, Jawan Taylor. I mean, he's just an embarrassingly bad right tackle. What a horrible contract. And I say that because he gets away with a crap ton of penalties that he should get called on. Like, he rarely, if ever, gets called on these. Like, he false starts and lines up offsides. He false starts and lines up illegally. Like, he's literally behind the line of scrimmage or above the line of scrimmage, or most of the time he false starts and lines up illegally in formation all the time at the same time. So I think these are some very favorable wins. Like I said, the interior is dreadful to go against with Humphrey, Smith, and Thuney respectively, but I think these are some very favorable matchups for Greg Rousseau, A.J. Epinesa, and Von Miller against the tackle duo of Wanye Morris and Jawan Taylor. I think these are very beatable tackles, if you will. But the pass rush for the Bills has been very, very inconsistent this year, unfortunately. More often than not, it's hit or miss more than hit, unfortunately. So, but I think this is the game where you got to deploy all edge rushers on these tackles. I think these are very, very winnable matchups. And don't bother trying to get Greg Rousseau in the interior. Just keep him on the edge the whole time and let him work against Wanya Morris on the left side. And then on the right side, the combo of A.J. Epinesa and Von Miller should be able to abuse Jawan Taylor as well, because he's just embarrassingly bad. He's just an embarrassment to the Chiefs. So this offensive line, I'm sorry, I got so lost. That was a defensive key. That was my first defensive key, and I skipped over, because I was talking about offensive line so much, I skipped over the last Bills offensive key. This Bills offensive line needs to hold up against this very deep and talented Chiefs defensive line. Like, obviously, they got stars like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, but look at this depth they got. They got Derek Nottie as a really good run defender. They got Mike Dana and Felix Udike-Zama and Josh Uche as a specialized pass rusher, speed, bendy guy off the edge. Tershawn Wharton and Mike Pennell, they use a good amount too. Mike Pennell is just a mammoth, a true nose tackle, and Tershawn Wharton is kind of a hybrid guy. I'm really nervous at Ryan Vandermark, because the last 2 preseasons he's played decent enough, really good at times at left tackle. He's been kind of a disaster at right tackle for Spencer Brown. So I'm really nervous about that against guys like Josh Uche if they flex Chris Jones to the outside. I mean, this is a star-studded defensive line, and this defensive line, just goes very deep with depth. Okay, 3 keys to the Bills defense. I kind of skipped around. Unfortunately, I kind of got confused for a minute and lost in the shuffle, if you will. I already talked about the edge rushers being wins against these very weak tackles, so rewind if you want to hear that. I say contain Kareem Hunt. Obviously, they open Isaiah Pacheco's 21-day practice window. He won't play this game, but I assume he'll play next week or at minimum the week after for the Chiefs. Same goes for defensive end pass rusher Charles Omenihu. Kareem Hunt, he's looked like his prime. And unfortunately, I think he'll kind of tear us up on the ground because they have a very good run scheme with that middle trio, can really just move guys with forcible objects. Like, you can't move that middle trio, and Kareem Hunt feeds off of that. I don't think we're going to contain Kareem Hunt, though, unfortunately. And next, this is a very, very specific wish I have. Historically, in the past, Matt Milano has been excellent. I mean, excellent at containing Travis Kelce and slowing him down in the past. Excellent dude to do that. But now they're going to pick on Dorian Williams a whole bunch, and more so Terrell Bernard, because he's given up stuff in coverage the last couple of weeks that I don't know if he's 100% yet, that he usually never gives up. So this is a personal wish of mine. Please, Sean McDermott, please, Bobby Babich, I'm asking you, put Taron Johnson on Travis Kelce the entire game and do not let him leave his side for 1 second. Matt Milano would usually be that guy. Put Taron Johnson, this is my personal wish, put Taron Johnson on Travis Kelce every single second of the game and don't miss a step and let him leave his side for 1 second. That's just what you're going to have to do, in my opinion. And then I already talked about the edge rusher situation. My 3 players of the game predictions. Obviously, there's no Dalton Kincaid. Obviously, I want them. I consider Khalil Shakir, right? I don't really have confidence, though, that Joe Brady will use him downfield and unlock that skill set in his game, if you will. I want them to use him downfield because he's a very underrated separator. This sounds silly to say and stupid, but I got to give my offensive player of the game prediction to Mac Hollins. You won't be able to run the ball with James Cook. You won't be able to work the middle field with Dawson Knox and Khalil Shakir. And Amari Cooper will be very hampered with a big cast on his wrist, if you will. And I don't know how much they're going to utilize Khalil Shakir. So really, downfield, Joe Brady specifically, respectively. So that leaves Mac Hollins, and I think Mac Hollins will have damn near 100, 105 receiving yards in this game. And then on defense, I don't know if Taron Johnson will wipe away Travis Kelce completely. That's extremely hard to do. But like I said, he's got to stick him on him every snap of the game. I'm not worried about the receivers one bit in this game. I'll get to that one of my 5-game predictions after my underdog fantasy player props is related to that little teaser for you. But yeah, I offensive player game prediction Mac Hollins because he's one of the only downfield options that we'll have to beat the Chiefs with. And defense, Taron Johnson. Also, the Chiefs can be beaten downfield, and the Chiefs can also be beaten by run after the catch. So I think you're going to have to utilize a lot of screens, James Cook and Khalil Shakir specifically, and ask them to work after the catch. And Khalil Shakir has a lot of wiggle to him. He never goes down the first or even damn near second contact. He breaks tackles all the time. So I think you're going to have to win with downfield shots and run after the catch ability with James Cook and Khalil Shakir, respectively and specifically. So, yeah, 5-game predictions. My underdog fantasy player props. Give me Josh Allen over 35.5 rushing yards. I'm looking for him to have 60, 70, 75 at least, maybe even 80 rushing yards in this game, going coupled with 10 to 12 attempts and maybe a rushing touchdown or 2. I just think because of all the injuries to the weapons, the Chiefs' defense being elite, other than the downfield shots you can take, I think Joe Brady will have to utilize Josh Allen's legs in this game a ton. So I'm going to smash Josh Allen over 35.5 rushing yards. And then give me Khalil Shakir over 57.5 receiving yards. Not only will he have to be using screens and work after the catch a ton, I want to see a big, big uptick in his down the field ability. I know he's a middle of the field guy and that screen guy, but Joe Brady can scheme it up where we saw it again. I keep saying this. We saw it in the second half of the year last year where Stephon Diggs tapered off. Khalil Shakir was awesome. He worked downfield a bunch. And the Bills have barely used that this season, if at all. And we've seen in his game and skill set that he can do that at a very high level, very underrated level as well. So give me Khalil Shakir over 57.5 receiving yards. Maybe this won't be a bit much, 60, 65, 70, if that. So, but and then give me DeAndre Hopkins under 49.5 receiving yards. I'm not scared of him one bit in this game. Like, first of all, he can't separate now that he's 33 years old. And second of all, he has no athleticism when he's 33 years old, barely anymore. Whether it's Christian Benford, he won't be targeted. Rasul Douglas, I'm not worried about DeAndre Hopkins. Give me DeAndre Hopkins under 49.5 rushing yards. And he's not a guy that, works if he works in the middle field, Terrell Bernard can handle him. If he works downfield, Christian Benford and Rasul Douglas, respectively, can handle him. He's not a steam touch guy. And don't give me Xavier Worthy as a scheme touch screen jet sweep guy. He's done nothing this year either. And then Kareem Hunt, unfortunately, smashing over 65.5 rushing yards. Bills' run defense situation is just not good. I just got to accept it at this point. And then Bills this is more of a generalized defensive prediction like I always like to give as a fifth one. Bills, I give me Bills defense holding Chiefs wide receivers to under 100 receiving yards combined. That doesn't include Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Peyton Hendershot, Kareem Hunt, any of their tight ends. Their actual wide receiver position of DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, now that he's back healthy, and Justin Watson, if they elevate Justin Ross. I don't like those 4 or 5 guys. Like, they're going to combine for under 100 receiving yards, in my opinion. I think this matchup versus the Bills DBs versus the Chiefs wide receivers is a very juicy and favorable matchup for the Bills DBs in their favor. So, yeah. And then give me Bills win the game 30-24. Listen, I know I'm not putting any Bills podcasters on blast, but some people that I listen to say the Bills lose, oh well, it's all about the playoffs. The Bills have beat the Chiefs the past 3 regular season games, but the past 3 playoff games they've lost to them, and this game doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The hell it doesn't, because if you lose this game, again, not calling anyone specifically out, but if you lose this game, there goes your hopes at the 1 seed. Any shot you have at the 1 seed in the AFC, any hopes, boop, out the window. Because if the Chiefs get past us, the Bills, if the Chiefs get past us, harsh reality, they're going 17-0. So the hell this isn't, who cares about this game? No. If you lose this game, boop, out the window, 1 seed, see you later. Any hope you have. Even with this win, it's going to be difficult, but it's near impossible if you lose this. So I have the Bills win the game 30-24. I'm not worried about the playoffs right now. I'm just worried about getting past the Chiefs in the regular season, week 11. So, yeah. This is a new thing I'm adding. Predicting, 5 or practice squad elevation for the Bills versus the Chiefs. I got 2 of them that make perfect sense. Tight end, Zach Davidson. The top 2 tight ends for this game, Dawson Knox is going to get a ton of run. Quentin Morris is going to get a ton of run as well. Maybe not a ton, but a decent amount of run, both a blocker and a receiver. And I think jumbo tight end Alec Anderson is that insert blocker, 6 offensive lineman, very useful and utility, if you will, jumbo tight end. Specifically, I think he's going to be in a lot of blocking schemes as well. And Zach Davidson will maybe only get 10 to 15 snaps this game, if that, when we elevate him from practice squad. But I think he's a really good blocker, and his receiving ability is underrated as well. I don't see him getting any targets, if at all, this game. I see him being really good in blocking schemes, and he's an underrated blocker. And then also practice squad elevation, I'm predicting personally. Offensive tackle, Richard Garage. Okay, the 2 starting tackles will be most likely Deion Dawkins at left tackle and right tackle Ryan Vandermark. You don't have a backup tackle, swing tackle, or otherwise. Tyler Grable is on IR, and I don't even know if he returns this season. They don't seem too urgent. He could have returned like 3 or 4 weeks ago by now, but they don't seem too urgent in that. So you need a backup tackle, swing tackle, or otherwise. And Richard Garage, I thought he was right there on the cusp of the 53-man roster, in my opinion. So I'm going to elevate him from the practice squad, me personally. So you need a backup tackle in case one of them gets injured. Predicting 5 inactive players versus the Colts. So we already know if Keon Coleman, wrist injury, is going to miss like 2 or 3 more weeks at minimum. Tight end Dalton Kincaid, unfortunately. So it'll be Dawson Knox, Quentin Morris, and Zach Davidson. Like I just mentioned, there's a decent enough practice squad elevation. And then 3 healthy scratches. Center Will Clapp, we know about this already. And then linebacker, it's kind of tough. They flip-flop now between Nicholas Morrow and Eddie Ulofosio. I went with the experience. I'm assuming they're going to want a lot of experience in veteran leadership against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in a pinch. So I have Nicholas Morrow active and Eddie Ulofosio being a healthy scratch / inactive. This is a veteran. They need a veteran defensive leadership against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to beat them. And then last healthy, I have defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, and I think that's game script related personally because Kareem Hunt, unfortunately, will probably tear us up on the ground. And you need at least an attempt at a stout run defense. So the 4 active players, defensive tackles will be obviously Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and Austin Johnson. I think the 4th one is between Quentin Jefferson and Jordan Phillips. And because Quentin Jefferson is a really good defensive tackle against the run, as a game script dependent guy, and Jordan Phillips historically has been a train wreck, especially in Buffalo last 2 or 3 years against the run, and historically has been very poor against the run wherever he's been. I went with Quentin Jefferson over him because just the game script stuff and the very poor against the run thing. So yeah. Anyways, guys, again, I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Buffalo by a final score of 30-14 is my official prediction. This is a huge game. If you lose, 1 seed out the window. If you win, still tough, but you have a shot at the 1 seed. If the Chiefs get past us and beat us, they're going 17-0. Harsh reality. Huge showdown. So yeah, those are my that's my official preview show. You can follow me personally on Twitter at @Weingartner13. You can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. We're happily on there. And lastly, please help me get to 50 subscribers on this channel by the end of the season. I want to get to the big 5-0 by the end of the 2024-25 NFL season. Anyways, last reminder. That didn't make sense. I'll remind you guys, I have the Bills beating the Chiefs 30-24, in Buffalo. Thank you for listening to this preview show, and I will be back on Monday, November 18th for a Bills-Chiefs recap show. Hopefully it's a win and a dub heading into the bye week in week 12. Anyways, guys, thank you for supporting as always. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this huge showdown, and I will see you next time. Bye. Have a great day. See you later.